Right, legal analyst Melusi Qulu joins us now via video link to weigh in on this particular story. Melusi, thank you so much for your time. So we understand, of course, that Tsholoto is expected to land in Johannesburg at 5 p.m. this afternoon from the US. Given that she is now being treated as an accused after she failed to cooperate with the state, just talk to us, firstly, the necessary legal extradition processes that will follow as soon as she lands.
Good afternoon to you, Nati, and to the viewers at home. Well, basically, the fact that now she's an accused, an extradition was made, I think it's in Maryland court in the United States of America, where the basis of her extradition was that there's a criminal case that she has here for fraud and other related matters. So when she comes to South Africa at 5 p.m., she's always going to be treated as an accused, and she's going to appear in court, I believe, on Monday. Then, obviously, the bail procedures will be discussed and so forth. I'm just thinking maybe the main issue for opposing bail for her by the state will be the fact that she might be a flight risk, or she is a flight risk, but we'll see how that will be done and how her defense will fight, because I think her legal team is ready. I just saw in the report that they're already indicating that she's just being used in this case because she refused to be a witness against Ace Magashule.
Yeah, I mean, how central to the state's case then is Tsholoto? You know, when you consider that she was the former PA to former Free State Premier Ace Magashule, who is accused for receiving these kickbacks from the asbestos removal funds. One can only imagine that, just given that she managed everything, including his emails, where we know that according to these allegations that in some instances she made requests, you know, linked to the alleged gratifications that he may have received, particularly one from businessman Edwin Sodi or his partner, who has subsequently been murdered.
I'll be circumspect in stating what she did and what she didn't do, because obviously I don't have the docket in front of me. But obviously, if the allegations are that she was central in the in getting gratification or getting the funds for corrupt cases or intentions, rather, I think then she'll be one of the people will be key if she was a witness. But now she's no longer a witness. She's an accused as well. Remember, there are 16 accused in this case, so now she will be the 17th accused. So she's no longer going to be a witness but an accused. So I think in the beginning, if she was going to be a witness, she was going to be a key witness. But now the state has to rely on what they have based on records to use that evidence against her as well as an accused.
I mean, you mentioned it a little bit earlier on that, you know, her legal representatives seem to think that the charges that she is now facing, which include fraud, as you've mentioned, I know that corruption is also on that list, as well as money laundering, is really due to the fact that, you know, she refused to be brought in as a state witness and implicate, you know, Ace Magashule, and not because she was implicated per se to commit those crimes. I mean, how strong a case is this for the defense?
Well, they are relying on the fact that, you know, she's possibly being used as a pawn or a puppet to, you know, maybe testify against Ace Magashule. So maybe they are thinking she's put in a position where she might say, okay, I'll give the state what they want so that I can be released. Maybe that's what they are trying to push. But it will be obvious on Monday, because I believe that the state is continuing with the charges of money laundering and fraud and corruption and so forth. So at the end of the day, it will depend on the evidence. And as I always say, in criminal cases, everything must be proved beyond reasonable doubts. So she has to be given that benefit of the doubt that she's also innocent until proven guilty. Hence, I think the most important thing from now in the next couple of days is to look at her bail options if she'll be granted bail, so that I think the matter has been postponed to next year in April, if I'm not mistaken. So at the end of the day is to look at the fact that she must get bail, and then she'll defend herself come next year in 2025.
And just as we wrap, Melusi, when you consider, of course, that she's one of 17, accused in this case, and I want to talk about how strong you think that the state's case is. When you consider, of course, just yesterday we saw how that Estina Dairy Farm, case was struck off the roll. And given that it is also high profile, even this one being high profile, I mean, what are the chances here? I want to add also that, you mentioned, of course, the Maryland District Court magistrate, obviously, granting this extradition. And one of the things that she said is that she obviously believed that, there is a case here to answer to. So given that development in the US and what we are currently seeing in South Africa, there is, of course, a strong focus on the NPA and how it can then deliver this case.
Yeah, in every criminal case, before one is arrested, there is a prima facie case that case might have been committed. But what matters is the fact that when it comes to courts, the evidence must be there. With the Estina Dairy Farm case, we did see that there was an issue of the fact that the evidence has not been collected in time, so the matter was struck off. Now, let us explain. At least let us look at why the matter is struck off. The matter is usually struck off if the matter is being unreasonably delayed for it to be tried or for the trial to proceed. So if the matter is struck off the roll, it's just because the matter is not ready, but it will depend whether the state will be ready with the evidence. So with the Estina matter, we don't know whether the state will continue to make investigation and bring it back. So until the state no longer proceed with the matter, we can say the case is no longer there. But in this case, it will depend whether the state has all the evidence it needs, because this types of cases or not, they rely on documentary evidence, financial records, cell phone records, and if those technical issues are ready, then the case might continue with witnesses as well. But we will only know when the matter proceeds next day if they are ready and if it's strong enough. But in such cases, we've seen that some cases are struck off the roll, are withdrawn, and the state capture cases, funnily enough, it is one of those cases that we've looked at as South Africa as strong cases that must be brought to court, but there's no one who has been convicted. I may be mistaken, but there's no one who's been convicted of cases arising out of the State Capture Commission inquiry.
Absolutely. Melusi, thank you so much for your time. That's where we have to leave it for now. Melusi Xulu is a legal analyst there for us. Of course, this pertaining the Moradi Cholota, the fact that she is now being extradited. She is expected to land at OR Tambo International Airport this afternoon. We will, of course, be monitoring those developments as well.